Business Spotlight, brought to you by Cross Rhythms and Baba Baboon.
I'm Sonya Farrell. This is Business Spotlight in partnership with Cross Rhythm City Radio and Baba Baboon. Joining me this week in the studio, we've got Shawn Gallimore, who's from the Alextra Group. Did I say that right, Shawn?
You did, yes, thank you, yeah.
How are you?
Yeah, very good, thank you. Nice sunny day.
It is lovely, isn't it? But the Alextra Group, do you just want to give our listeners just a little brief about everything that you do and when it first started?
Yeah, so we go back to the early noughties. We were kind of formed independently from breakup of an old, quite large accounting group. So yeah, we became independent. It was formed really by Keith Knight. There's now 6 of us. Okay. We do everything that you'd expect from accountants, you know, from your tax returns, your VAT returns, year-end accounts for limited companies, all the sort of stuff you'd expect. But then it's the extra stuff that we're trying to get through now. How we can help you save some money, make more money, pass on to the next generation, that sort of thing, using the software that we do. And we've also got a wealth management arm as well. Okay. So when we've saved you that money, you might want to put it into pensions and investments, and we can look after that as well.
So, you know, as business owners, we're always probably looking at ways, or we try to sometimes, to look at ways in which we can save on certain things. But sometimes, you know, like you just mentioned there, as pensions, sometimes as business owners, is it something that's forgotten about? Is it something that is not at the top of the list?
I think you're right with what you just said about not being top of the list. The problem is a business owner does well. They want a nice holiday, some new clothes, better car, move house. We're all the same. Pensions doesn't really hit the same kind of note, does it? But it's massively tax efficient to do it. And I think the older the entrepreneur, the more you appreciate it. You know, when I was in my 30s, pensions were not part of my radar, but I'm probably 8 years away now before I can actually access it. So it's now far more relevant than it was before.
And you know, what are the benefits then of putting into your pension if you are a business owner?
Well, I always think they work best with surplus profit. I wouldn't expect anybody not to take the partner out for dinner and go on holidays with the kids and stuff. But if you're doing well and you're making that bit of surplus, it's the bit that I would put in. The benefits are massively is long-term retirement planning, but tax. We don't get that many tax reliefs now, where if you take your pensions within certain parameters, obviously, but the company can get a tax relief on providing the pension to you, and you get to keep the income completely tax-free, but it's gone into your pension, and that's the trade-off. That's
how it kind of works. And then why do you think it is that when we mention the word pensions, people still, and I speak to a lot, you know, younger people or relatives even, and different things like that, and it still seems to have this fuzzy or not really sure what to do with it. Why do you think that is?
I think partly, it had a bad press years ago. I think there was we've all heard stories about pension pots ending up empty or mismanaged, things like that. But I can tell you now, the regulation is massive on it. So I think stock markets do have their ups and downs. There's nothing you can do about that. But over a period of time, they're carefully controlled, and your financial advisor will manage it for you, and you should be absolutely fine. But I think people hear that because the mum and dad have told them a horror story and kind of don't fancy it. I'd rather, I always hear, I'll keep it under the floorboards, but it's wearing away with inflation then, isn't it? So to me, that's a non-starter. Yeah,
definitely. And then you mentioned, you know, yourself a few years back, you know, you didn't really maybe appreciate so much, or you may be aware as well of other people who didn't really appreciate the pension, but now as you're getting older, you can see the value in it. Is it again another educational piece in which we all need to be doing, where we do fully understand whether you're a business owner or you're not, and what exactly the value is?
Yeah, I mean, when we say you as a business owner, obviously as a tax advisor, I'm coming at it from the tax angle, but as an overall business owner and a kind of planner, you kind of need to get into that routine. The younger you are, the better. If you can get used to putting that percentage of your income away, just do it, then you get to retirement and you're going to have a decent pot to give you a decent lifestyle when you retire. But I think, as I said before, I live in the real world. People have expensive kids and mortgages, and the cost of living is not cheap. So sometimes, as I say, it gets to the point where as you get older and you've probably got more experience, you're earning a bit more, you're more successful, that surplus profit then is there, and that's when the pensions really come into play, because you can afford to do it.
Yeah. And again, I suppose there's other aspects. You mentioned about even the wealth side, that your organisation, your business is involved in. How does that come into play then for a business owner, and what you provide there? And what are is there any challenges there, or getting people to understand in investments or anything?
Well, our wealth management team can do that. They can guide you through it and they try and understand your attitude to risk. That's the way they're coming at it. As I say, I can't actually give you financial advice because I'm not a financial advisor, but that's what they talk to me about with mine. But it's all. I always think it's all about your plan.
Yeah.
You never start trying to save tax and then work around saving tax, or where your investment's going to be working. I think it has to be a unique plan to you. When do you want to retire? What does your lifestyle look like? What do you need to do the things that you want to do in retirement, and work from that. Work to a plan as opposed to kind of doing it the wrong way round. Yeah,
and I suppose in that then, in relation to working to even like a business plan where you've got your goals, you're looking forward and you can forecast. Is that the kind of thing where you're coming onto there as well?
Absolutely. Our team's got it's pretty sophisticated software now. It's forecasting stuff, and it needs to be reviewed annually because massive things happen in our lifestyles, don't they? Health is the one thing that you can't predict, but you've got to start somewhere. But yeah, if you can say this is what your lifestyle looks like, this is what you want to do and live per month. Yeah. When you retire, they can factor that in. They can tell you what you need to have in your pot when you retire, and we can work it back.
And so what about anything else then? Again, using an accountant as a business owner, no matter how small or how big your business is, what are the other sort of factors out there in which we can sort of take advantage of, so to speak? Is it like company cars? Is it, again, other investments? What else is it that we can actually look at as a business owner?
So first, I think certainly as accountants now, our focus is more on the advisory and business growth. We're not just the historical number crunchers. So, we've had conversations before where I've said it's about where we're trying to get to and understand your business and work to that plan, and not just do it kind of back to front. So in terms of the savings, as I say, electric cars aren't for everybody, but if you want to reduce your carbon footprint, and two, you'd like that nice car and actually get some tax relief, it's a massive opportunity out there. Unfortunately, if you're someone that likes the va-va-voom, it's not for you. It's as simple as that. But there's some love. I mean, the ranges and the cars that are coming out there now, most of the top manufacturers are producing some lovely cars, and they're very, very tax efficient to get one. I can't tell you how good it is. Really, it's a minimal amount of money to drive around in a very nice car, and you can put that through your business, and it doesn't cost the earth. So yeah.
And with that, electric cars, they're becoming more and more. They talked about more and more. There's still lots to do with electric cars. I aren't going to lie about it. My husband's got one, and sometimes they are very, very good. But as well as looking at cars and everything else like that, and that's something, again, technology changes, cars change, other aspects change. You've already mentioned technology as well that you use within the business. But what else have you seen of how technology can actually help a business owner to be more efficient in going forward now?
So it's real-time reporting, the power that comes from the technology we use. The government's kind of forcing us into making tax digital.
But what does that, before you go anywhere actually, Shawn, what does that actually mean?
Well, I'm a cynical man. So from the government's point of view, they want to know what you're earning and when you're earning it. And at some point, my belief is you're going to be taxed far more regularly than what you are now. That's where I think is where the government's coming from. My view as a business owner is, though, knowledge is power, and information and financial information is key. Looking at your forecasts and those plans that we keep getting back to and we keep talking about. So if we're discussing your results 6, 7, 8, 9 months after the year end, a lot can happen in 9 months.
Yeah.
If we've got up-to-date information with the software, your bank's up to date, you know who you owe money to, who owes money to you, what your future plans are, we can forecast it. You're in a much better position to grow your business and shape it the way that you want to, rather than looking at historical stuff that we could, numbers that we've crunched at the year end that could be 9 months out of date.
Yeah, and what are the challenges then, you might experience yourself as an accountant? What is it that you find is difficult with making tax digital, or is it with business owners who perhaps sometimes might find it difficult to adjust? Yeah,
it's change. Nobody likes change. We're all the same, aren't we? I think that, we don't want unnecessary change. And I think that's a problem with this. Once you get your head around what the benefit is to you, as opposed to you've been forced down the route, then once you get on board with it, I think you can use it. And I was the same when it first came into our profession. I started as an accountant in 95, public practice in 2001. The change in our profession has been absolutely enormous in that period. I never thought that we'd have bank transactions just landed in the software within 24 hours of doing it. I come from a big analysis pads and manual entry world and things like that, so it was all about accuracy and adding up and rechecking. That's kind of gone now. We can't be more accurate than a computer. As long as the link's there or it's been scanned incorrectly, it can't be wrong. So the job now is to try and your logic checking it and then using the information to help the business owner, which is what, in my opinion, we should be doing as a profession anyway, as opposed to just that historical number crunching. Yeah,
and again, that's surely got to be in the overall, at the end, it's got to be more efficient for everybody.
Well, it's more efficient because you know where you're at, just in terms of the compliance, in terms of taxes due. But as I say to you, then you can be using it then to grow your business. You might not want to grow your business. Sometimes people want to earn the same money and work less. So sometimes it can be putting systems in place that when it's efficiency, it's not monetary or tax efficiency. It's time efficiency for the owner. So it's not all just about making more money. It can sometimes be about making life a bit easier.
Yeah, once you get into it, you get used to, again, a different process. Like you say, overall,
you've got to accept the change. That's
Yeah, and you talked about, you started back in the 90s in your career with accountancy, and we've talked there about technology and different things coming into play within, your industry. But is there anything else that is quite prominent where you've seen there's been a massive shift?
Technology is the obvious thing, and I think the other one is that the tax system moves ridiculously. I mean, the changes are huge. We seem to go government policies seem to go all over the place. Before COVID, we were talking about a corporation tax rate that was dropping to 17%. We're now at 25%. Do you know what I mean? It changes massive. We've now got pensions that were outside inheritance tax estates. They're now inside. They're quite sweeping changes, so we've always got to be on top of that. That's a constant issue, really.
And from what you mentioned earlier as well about sort of accountant and accountancy firms, you see more and more, and you mentioned it yourself, where it's not just about the number crunching as such, but it is about more of that business guidance. And is that just something that is sort of part and parcel really of an accountant? So that's why more and more are offering that service.
I think the real-time information of the software has made accountants forced to do it, but my argument is we should have been doing it anyway. We're kind of trained to do it. We just, I guess it's our nature to kind of just be in the background and crunch your numbers. But it's kind of forced that angle now, and I do think that it's made all of the clients of accountants now get better value out, or they should be getting better value out of their advisor, because the real-time information is there to get it. And so it's making sure you deliver it now.
And aside from the day-to-day of what you do within the business as such, the day-to-day operations and everything, what about Alextra and your values and supporting community, collaborations, partnerships? How important are they to you?
Really important. I think people still deal and buy from people, and I think people want you to see you putting something back, and I think deep down we want to put something back. So charity stuff is always something we've been involved with. The partnership that we're with now with the Vale, which is great for me. It's a real kind of personal one as a pretty much a lifelong fan. So to be able to work with the foundation, try and do a bit with those, I think everybody saw, especially through COVID, what the Vale did and the Shanahans. I think most people locally are really quite proud of that. Over in South Cheshire, we do quite a lot with the Leighton Hospital, the Mid Cheshire Trust. So much so that I was daft enough to jump out of a plane.
Really?
About 9 years ago now. So there's usually ongoing things that we do with them. So and we always just try and pass the business around. You either termed out you shop local, keep local.
Yeah.
If we need something in the business, we try and go and get that service or product from a client as opposed to going elsewhere first. Do you know what I mean? So you try, and I think it's important to try and look after each other.
Yeah, and it's those relationships, isn't it? Like you say, it all comes down to relationships as well, and maybe sharing the same values.
Yeah, absolutely. And the relationships is the one that's changing as well now because of the impact of COVID and social media now. I mean, it's still a bit alien to me to look at somebody on a tile, on a screen, on a Zoom call, but it kind of has to have its place.
Yeah.
But I still would rather go out and have a coffee, or a pint.
A chicken pint.
Yeah.
And why not? Shawn, anything else before you go on then? Personally, but as well, I don't know if you've got any news or you're going to be jumping out any more planes soon, but please do share. But for the Alextra Group and going into, the next decade or however long it is you envisage now, with the group going and accountancy, any changes there, what is it is there any more goals that you've got yourselves?
Yeah, I mean, I still really enjoy it, to be fair. And more recently, it's good. We take a lot of pride in the trainees that we bring through. I mean, we've got something like about 80 staff now. Mm-hmm. The unfortunate thing is the government's pulling, or we believe it's pulling, the apprenticeships, which is not so good. Challenges that everyone's facing at the minute with the employers' national insurance, we're all trying to work around. But in terms of Alextra, we've seen big growth in our audit team. Mm-hmm. Our tax department, wealth management now. So there's a real opportunity for us to push that. I say we still enjoy it. The 6 owners were all relatively young still, so nobody's going anywhere soon. So we definitely want to keep pushing. I think if you try and sort of sit where you are, you're gonna go backwards. So that's just not in our nature. We want to push forward and keep on growing it and giving some options for local people. With employment, it's nice to be able to bring people on and give them a career.
Well, Shawn, thank you so much. No doubt we'll have you back and maybe elaborate a little bit more on those opportunities for local recruitment in the future, if you'd like to come back on Business Spotlight, that is. Yeah,
I would love to. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. That's Shawn Gallimore here on Business Spotlight with me, Sonya Farrell.
Business Spotlight, shining a light on our local business community. Brought to you by Cross Rhythms and Baba Baboon.